Hey, what's going on, everybody? Just got out of the theater for Supergirl, and I wanted to talk about this one while it's still fresh in my mind because I I was pleasantly surprised. I think the people calling this movie one of the worst movies that they've ever watched are being so dramatic that it's insane, and it's also setting a wrong expectation for everybody. It is by no means a perfect movie, but it's also not like a Morbius level of awful. Um, I think the worst thing about it is that it's pretty generic, but first let me talk about the things I did like. I think that Millie Alcock's performance is really, really good. Like, I think she nails this character and makes her really charming. I think Lobo was pretty out of place, though. I think that he's just there because Jason Momoa has wanted to be Lobo for so long, and he does add some cool action scenes that are definitely needed in the film, but by no means was he needed in this movie. Ruthie's a really good character, that she gets down the childish immaturity that's needed, but she also cares for Supergirl, and I think that's a good dynamic. I do wish that there was a little bit more fleshed out with that. Not having Krem be a regular person was also a huge missed opportunity, because that's kind of like the whole point of the comic, is that Krem is just a normal guy and everybody underestimates him except for Ruth, and that's how he continues to terrorize and leave all these planets in ruin, is because everybody just kind of looks at him like he's not strong enough. But in this, he's like fucking throwing tanks and shit. And I know that they needed to make Supergirl having a threatening opponent, but I don't think that making him super strong was the way to do that. And before I forget, the things I want to talk about that are missing from the comics is that they took out a lot of the really whimsical characters. Like, Comet's not in this at all, which I think seeing a unicorn and seeing that unicorn have to run with Supergirl to the end of time, to the point where there's no color anymore, was something I was really, really looking forward to seeing in the film. But it just didn't happen. And I also really wish that there was a flash forward in the end where we see that Ruth is an old lady and that we're actually hearing the story from her perspective. I think that would have been a really cool framing device, but I don't think that there's too much missing from the comic to really take away overall from the story. The cinematography was pretty surprising. It's a really colorful film, even though the trailers kind of look like it's grayed out and stuff, and there is portions of it that are grayed out. It is still a pretty colorful film, and that was nice. I think that the screaming scene also needed more time to like flesh itself out. Supergirl sees his family get murdered, and then she flies into space and she screams. In the comic, where she travels like to like 4 different Earths trying to find Krem, and she finds that all these Earths have been destroyed, just like Krypton. And she has to go into space and leave Ruthie there for a little bit just to scream. Would have made it a much more satisfying moment, but I still think that the moment overall being played out in the movie was very good. I am really excited to see Supergirl in Man of Tomorrow. I think that she'll be a very good addition, and she'll play off of Superman very nice. I still love Krypto. Krypto is the best character in any of these films. I think that he is the funniest thing ever, and I love how annoying and obnoxious he is while still being cute. Let's see, I think that all of the Krypton scenes are very, very good. I think that there's enough emotion in it, and it portrays very well why Supergirl carries all this weight and burden with her after seeing her whole planet destroyed, not in just one day like maybe Kal-El or Superman remembers, but she has to live through it as her whole planet first gets blown up, and then as she survives with a little bit of her family off the world, it slowly is them being taken out from a disease, and it shows why she has this like darkness in her. And I think that it is kind of weird that Supergirl has to be this darker version of Superman, because they really just don't know what to do with her. But I do think that is a very interesting angle. I want to talk about that needle drop. That needle drop is also not that bad. The song is pretty awful, but like, it happens in the last like 5 minutes, and at that point the movie's already over. And so it's like, yeah, it's not the greatest song ever, and I will never catch myself listening to a cursive song, but it's also like, you guys are so dramatic on it ruining the film for you. Like, there's literally 5 minutes left. The majority of the action scene's already over. Have some fun. I do wish that this was a little bit more faithful and obviously a little bit more colorful and unique. The movie definitely does pull some comparison to Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess, just based on the way that it's like stylized, but not really in any of the way that it actually like plays out. And I do think that that hurts the film because there needs to be more distinct visions in between these films, especially like the Supergirl film cannot be feeling like a James Gunn film, or Wonder Woman film cannot just all feel like James Gunn films. This movie only made $40 million, so I think the amount of backlash it's getting online has to be from people who haven't seen it, because you guys are telling me that this many people are hating on it, but it made that little. Like, you guys did not go watch that shit. I also don't think by any means it's going to be the DCU killer. It performing bad is obviously not great. Market itself, or to really like show itself as being better than an average superhero film. People are really tired of just seeing average superhero films. So I do not think that this is a DCU killer. I think if Sony can make a whole universe with like fucking 8 movies that are all mediocre, even though some of them did make money, that this is fine. It's just a little road bump that you should go see it if you were interested. And especially if you don't know anything about the comics, I think you'll be a little bit pleasantly surprised. If you do know about the comics, just go in with your expectations tamed on what they'll actually adapt. This is just a personal thing, but I also really wish that they had the line in the movie when they were on the bus from the comics where Ruthie was like, at first there was a botheration, and then there was Supergirl, and then it was quiet. I always thought that was a really cute like line, and that always like stuck with me after I read the comics. So I do wish that, I think that this comic is one of those comics where they could have adapted it 1-to-1 and it would have been a perfect film. But I also respect that's also not the most creative choice, but I do wish that they took more creative liberty with changing things up.